Hello once again to the Gwenith Glide Marlin course. You might be asking why this video exists. If you're in the know, you might know this isn't a new world record. So what am I here for? I'm here to improve the new world record, not by making it faster, but by making it consistent and also more XP. I had a goal in mind from the beginning when tackling Gwenith Glide Marlin. I wanted to find the highest XP per hour method in the game. And you can't do that with the world record as it is because it has an RNG requirement. I once had the world record and it had an RNG requirement, and then it was swiftly removed by finding a better route, and I'm here to do the same thing. I am taking the old world record and I am slashing it down. Check this out. We're going over here. This isn't new, but it might be new to those of you who don't realize what the new route is. You might notice also that there are a bunch of tile markers that are 100% accurate to the route I am doing. I very meticulously put them together, and I will be giving them out. I got people wondering where the tile markers were on the last video. I was like, I wasn't happy with them. They weren't done. I can call these done. Check this out. This here is the first time we used the crystal extractor. You might notice it was a bit late. In order to maximize XP, need to use the crystal extractor 4 times in this run, while also using every single mote we come across, crystal mote, because each crystal mote is 10 XP that you otherwise would not be getting. You also might notice that this is kind of unorthodox wind patterns. Wait a minute, I'm short 1 wind. How is it possible that we make it to the end with enough wind? Check this out. This is brand new. I figured out a way to go through this room while picking up the extra mote without losing any time. And because of that, now I get to use my wind there 1 tick later than usual, which ended up not being important. I thought it might be. The wind in this route is surprisingly tight. Like at the very start, I can just be flippant and use them not at the best moments for speed, but at convenient moments so that it's less click intensive. However, starting right here, that is the earliest possible time I can use the crystal extractor while it still gives me wind. And incidentally, am I the first person who discovered that you don't need to slow down in this split? Everyone slows down, you don't need to. And that's why earlier in the run, when it looked like I had not used the crystal extractor for a century, it did not matter. That point right there is the last point where it's like, okay, I have full wind and I'm about to get another wind. We can't do better than that. So that's the bottleneck. From here on, it will converge into it all working out in the end, almost kind of perfectly. In this split, I'm actually able to lose a tick of wind if I want. Maybe 2, who knows, but it doesn't matter because we are able to, in the next split, lose wind starting at a certain point and need to reapply it immediately, like on the right tick. So check this out. In order to use the crystal extractor, you need 4 ticks where you don't change your boat's heading. Therefore, I can't do it here, extractor active, and I move there. As soon as I reach a point where I have the 4 ticks of movement opportunity, that's when I use the crystal extractor. So even if I was able to use it like a tick earlier or whatever, it does not matter. That is the earliest possible tick that I can use the crystal extractor on. And check this out. This is where it all comes together. I run out of wind here. I reach the portal in the right amount of time, and I start this split with no wind, which gives me just a tiny bit of a different path, which barely lets me hit that mote. The reason the current world record has RNG is because they don't pick up that mote and they need to get the boost from that mote elsewhere. Check this out. Boom. That just put me on the perfect line. I found that proxy, which gets you on the line that lets you hit this, which is 1/4 tile of leniency. And finally, check out the crystal extractor. We end, wait 1 tick, and we use the crystal extractor, and then we start the next. That is the most amount of XP you can get in that period of time. You might be thinking, this is absurd. How did you find something like that? You don't just like stumble across that. You would need to like build a sim or something. So I built a sim. This is my boat simulator. And with it, I can simulate how the game moves your boat. And you will notice with this, how barely I'm actually a bit more on it than you would expect, but it is a lot more tight when it comes to the end. You will see what happens here. This is the proxy that I discovered. This bonks your boat up a bit more than usual, which gives you just barely enough distance. Right down here, you hit the very, very corner of this crate and run out of wind at the exact right time and barely hit the portal with this line that I discovered using my boat simulator. This is also how I found this line where I got the extra moat. It was ba 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 ba, and then we go ba ba ba, and we do a little flick, barely grab that, ba ba ba, and then go down here. We are barely inside here, and then we're barely inside here. Very proud of myself, and it was all because of this boat sim, which, I mean, this boat sim was partially me and partially other people. I did all the programming, but I didn't get this map. I want to thank Getch for the map. GeChallengeM, Getch, and also Red Eye Jedi for giving me some resources on how to understand the mechanics of the boat collision. Even though my boat collision is actually not perfect, it doesn't do 1-1 properly. In the actual game, this would work, but my sim doesn't. I don't know what is wrong with my sim. I will need to figure it out before I can call this sim complete. But this helped me explore options so much easier than doing it in-game. The testing that needs to be done is so much easier with this boat sim. So, very cool. Next, I want to talk about my tile markers. I want to give these tile markers as... Now, I'm not saying this route is the easiest, but it is the most XP, and therefore, if you want the most XP, you would use my tiles. I should probably acknowledge that the crystal extractor timing is so absurdly tight and requires like absurd precision that like if you're trying to repeat this route for the most XP, you don't have to go for it. It's just if you want to be the most like, I am getting every single EXP point, then you can do it. The route becomes exponentially easier if you discount the last couple of crystal extractor uses. Oh, and final thing, plugins. Sailing. Sailing is the only plugin you need. It has the true tile under navigation. Use that one, that's the most important one. I also detach the info box for my wind. You do that by holding shift right click on it, and then you can move it around by holding alt. Okay, now, the tiles. Let me teach you the syntax. First, you have the letter, which is the compass direction you are going in. Technically, I think you would want to do like E-N-E instead of N-E-E, but N-E-E reads better to me, so I put those in. I have a right arrow or a left arrow, depending on if your boat needs to go clockwise or counterclockwise. I've got a number, which is how long you need to be moving in that direction for. If you only need to move in a direction for 1 tick, then I've written flick, because you're flicking in that direction. If I've written react, then that means you literally react to collecting a thing, like collecting a box, and then you immediately, it's a visual indicator. If you need to move immediately on the first tick after going through a portal, then I have the instructions on what you need to click before you go through the portal. If you're heading straight instead, then it literally says straight and there is no like border on the tile. I only made a tile have solid opacity borders if you need to click. So it's 1 click per box, with the exception of double action ticks, where you need to do 2 things at once. I put a plus symbol if it's a double action tick. I tried to eliminate as many of those as possible, but some of those are literally not even difficult, or they're just necessary. You'll notice some portals have like their hitbox visible, but not all of them. That was just out of like, I just added them as I needed to test them, but I just didn't bother doing all of them because they're not important. And before I forget, it's self-explanatory, but when you go through a portal, it tells you the direction you want to point your cam, like cam west. You want to point your camera west so that you see what you're doing. And finally, I have markers for crystal or boost or slow down or speed up, which is full. Full is full speed. If you're confused as to what any tile marker is trying to say, you can just watch this video where I follow the path perfectly. Also, I'm sure it goes without saying, but boat requirements. You need the rosewood hull, the rosewood mast and sails, you need the crystal extractor, you need the gale catcher. That is all. Ironically, I wanted to put this together for myself so that my grind to 99 would be as efficient as possible, but I spent so much time getting this route together that I'm about to hit 99 anyway. Whoops! Remax party soon. Come join my Remax party.